I can simplify a numerical expression using the order of operations. Here's what you need to know. Algebraic expressions are mathematical statements that include numbers, variables, operations, and sometimes grouping symbols like parentheses or brackets. Expressions do not use equal signs. Here are some examples of expressions. It's just different combinations of variables, numbers, operations, but there are no equal signs in any of these examples. The order of operations has an acronym, PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, maybe something that you've heard before. And here's the order that we do our algebraic expressions. We always start with anything with parentheses or grouping symbols. And we're going to work from the inside out if we have grouping symbols inside other grouping symbols. Then we're going to do exponents or roots. Couple things to keep in mind. 2 to the third power is not the same thing as 2 times 3. 2 to the third power is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. Anything to the power of 0 is equal to 1. So here's a couple of different exponent rules that you should be familiar with. The next step in the order of operations is multiplication or division, and we're going to work that in order from left to right. Here are 4 different ways that we can show multiplication. Sometimes this gets a little confusing. We can use the times sign that you may have learned in elementary school, maybe used it a little bit in middle school. We're going to refrain from using that in algebra because we do use the variable x and we don't want to get confused. So even though this is a way to show multiplication, we're not really going to use that one that much. We're going to stick with one of these other ways. You can use a dot, 3 times 4. You can also just push the numbers together using parentheses to separate them. You could also put both of the numbers in parentheses. These are all ways to show multiplication. The next step in the order of operations is any addition or subtraction, and we're going to work that in order from left to right. It's okay to get negative numbers as you're working through. Every time you do a step, you need to go back up to the top of the order of operations and start over. Let's do an example together. Simplify 3 to the 4th power minus 2 times 7 plus 5 minus 1. Here's our order of operations. We're going to start with any grouping symbols that we see. We have parentheses inside of our brackets. We're going to go to the inside first. So the 5 minus 1 in parentheses is going to be the first thing that we work out. 5 minus 1 is equal to 4. I'm going to go back up to the top of my order of operations. I still have grouping symbols. I have those brackets, the 7 plus 4. That's the next step we're going to work out. 7 plus 4 is 11. I'm going to check again and see if I have any more grouping symbols, and I do not. So I'm ready to move to the next part, exponents. 3 to the 4th power is the only exponent that I see, so I'm going to work that out. 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 is the expanded form. You don't have to do that unless you just really need that visual representation of what an exponent means. 3 to the 4th power is 81. And notice that everything else that I'm typing in white is staying the same as it was before because we are not completing any of those pieces yet. Next, I'm going to look for any multiplication or division. I see 2 times 11. I'm going to work that out to be 22. Now I'm going to look for addition and subtraction, and we're always working from left to right. So right here, 81 minus 22 is the first piece that I'm going to complete because I'm going from left to right. Even though the A for addition comes before the S for subtraction, that part doesn't really matter. You just go from left to right. 81 minus 22 is 59, and then we still have to do the plus 10 from the previous step. The final answer to this one would be 69. Pause and try this one, and then we'll check it together. Simplify 20 divided by 2 to the 0 power minus 4 plus 1 minus 2. Let's start with our order of operations. Parentheses, I have brackets, and then I have parentheses inside the brackets. I'm going to do the inside grouping first, the 4 plus 1 minus 2. Now, that 4 plus 1 minus 2, if you come look over here, That's all addition and subtraction, and I just have to make sure I do it from left to right. 4 plus 1 first, then subtract 2. So I get 5, subtract 2, that gives me 3. So that whole big mess, that 4 plus 1 minus 2, that's where the 3 is coming from right here. I still have grouping symbols, so I'm going to work those out, but I start the order of ops over every single time I go. So the exponent inside those brackets is going to come before the subtraction inside those brackets. 2 to the 0 power is 1. That's where the 1 is coming from. Now I'm ready to finish out those brackets and get rid of these things. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. Now my problem is a little bit more simplified. It says 20 divided by negative 2. There are no other exponents. We dealt with those inside the brackets, and I don't have anything else. Let's look for multiplication or division. I see division. We're going to remember that a positive number divided by a negative number is going to give us a negative quotient. 20 divided by negative 2 gives me a negative 10. And that's it. There's no addition or subtraction after that to complete. If you want more on this topic, be sure to check out the Learning Target spreadsheet for additional resources, videos, and practice.